House Foreign Affairs Committee member, Florida Congressman Brian Mast joins me. And I might add, today is a very special day for all of us, including Congressman Mast, because he is celebrating what he calls his Alive Day. Because 13 years ago, on this day in 2010, Congressman Mast was serving in the Army in Afghanistan. He was a bomb technician. And on that day, while clearing a path for Army ranges in Kandahar, he stepped on an IED, immediately amputating both his legs. How his life was saved is an extraordinary tribute to military medics and doctors, as well as his own spirit and determination. While in his hospital bed, Mast pledged to become a Florida congressman, and that he did. He took the oath of office on January 3rd, 2017. So happy Alive Day, sir, to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was glad to be in the fight then. The injuries were hazards of the profession, and I can tell you I'm glad to be in the fight right now.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here. Okay. Let me ask you, I started this show about the United Nations. Nobody showed up. So can you tell me, what's the point of the United Nations for the United States at this point?
You could talk about a lot of things. You covered a number of them. We know that since Donald Trump, at least, there's been a move away from some of these multilateral agreements. Donald Trump wanted to move to the one-on-one agreements, speak to people directly. And when he did that, he actually got people to show up at the United Nations. All those members of the Security Council did show up, even though he was being tough on them. They know that they're showing up to United Nations now with a Joe Biden that is often incoherent, but very rarely has value in what it is that he was saying. Putin and Xi Jinping were not there. He did not take the opportunity to hammer them in what is going on with Ukraine or with Taiwan or other things. There's just not a value in at least my opinion, in what Joe Biden is bringing to American economics, American energy, American security, and not to those that are attending the United Nations.
I'm very prideful of the fact that the United Nations is in New York, and I really want the United Nations to be successful, and I want the United States to be dominant in it. But in 2021, we paid $12.5 billion, and we can't even get the four other members of the National Security Council, the permanent members, to show up. All these giant economies, nobody shows up. So $12.5 billion, what are the American people getting for that?
Well, it didn't start with the UN coming together for the General Assembly. You go back to France and Macron and him speaking before any conflict goes on between China and the United States of America, of him already saying, hey, we need to move away from the United States of America. Let's not be in between what's going on between China and the United States of America and Taiwan. These members were moving away long before this.
All right, let me turn now to the government shutdown. We're about 11 days away. Is there going to be a shutdown? Do you predict one or not?
Well, I'll lay out the menu for you and say it's definitely possible. Of which you already know. But the menu is, look, right now tonight, there are negotiations for a continuing resolution that is very simple, very short, but would attach something very important to it, which is what's known as H.R. 2, which is a very serious border security bill. That's the choice one right now. Why is that choice one right now? Because the 12 appropriations bills that have to go through the House of Representatives, 10 of them are out of the committees, 2 of them are not out of the committees, but as was seen just on the floor just a couple of hours ago, the defense appropriations bill, it failed to pass the floor. It couldn't get the yes votes that it needed to even pass that. So it really shows you that in order to avoid a government shutdown, you're probably going to need at least a 30-day continuing resolution to continue funding the government at the current levels while those appropriations reach the appropriate negotiations.
Well, Congressman Brian Mast, thank you for joining me. Glad special day for you, and we'll be watching. Hopefully the government doesn't shut down. Thank you, sir.